Hey guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with more life stories. In today's video we will look at an HOA that discriminated against a disabled woman by not allowing her to come into the clubhouse with her service animal, and then later ended up paying huge fines for this. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is a neighbor story from user TaxDrTom posted on r/Ripe Stories, and it is titled Bonkers Neighbor from Hell. Years ago I lived in a duplex where I had the best landlord/lady, LL, that I've ever had. In fact, I am still good friends with them. However, even the best can be made a fool of by devious people. So the trouble began when a little old lady, LOL, asked to rent the other side of the duplex. By the way guys, that is the best abbreviation for little old lady I've ever seen. Anyway, landlord required references from 2 prior landlords and 2 character references from people who have known the LOL a minimum of 2 years before lease signing, and allowing them to move in, which she provided as they looked legit. She was approved as a leasee. Landlord later found out all had been written by various family members who wanted to get rid of her. The lease specified that it was to be a single family dwelling, to which LOL agreed and paid her deposit, first and last month's rent, and moved in. The first month passed without incident, but that changed when LOL decided to move her daughter, LOLD, son-in-law SIL, and newborn baby NBB in with her. Just as soon as they moved in, loud music started rocking their apartment and rattling my wall. I went over, knocked on the door, and asked them to please turn the volume down as I was trying to watch TV while doing a project on my laptop. Son-in-law told me to F off and he would play it as loud as he wanted, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. So, being the good neighbor I am, I called landlord and told him what was happening, who came out and told son-in-law he would have to take LOLD and NBB and find other living quarters as the lease specified single family only. Son-in-law told him to F off as they knew the renters law, and landlord would have to go to court to have them evicted, which would take about 6 months. So things rocked along, and son-in-law and little old lady's daughter started shouting matches, cussing each other, throwing items at each other, then kissing and making up and going to bed. It became apparent that the whole clan was drinking heavily as whiskey bottles and beer cans started showing up on the back lawn because someone had missed the trash can when tossing it out. I also began smelling MJ and seeing evidence of drug usage and dealing. One Saturday night, SIN came staggering up to my back door and started banging on it and yelling for me to come out, which I did. He stated that he hated my guts, did not like my looks, and was going to do something about it. Now I am 6'2", weighed around 200 pounds and had very little fat as I worked out 3 days a week at one of the local gyms. He on the other hand was around 5'7" and weighed about 155 pounds on a good day. I told him that any time he felt froggy to jump on in. But as he looked up at me he said, "I think I will go get my gun and start shooting." I looked down at him and told him that if there were any shootings in this duplex, I would do it and he had better get his ass back in his apartment, so he told me that the only way to stop him was to call 911 and have him arrested, which I did. Law enforcement arrived about 15 minutes later and asked where the unruly person was who, about that time, started yelling at LOLD and LOL. The deputy said, "Never mind, I think I found the problem," and left. He knocked and was told to F off, after which he kicked in the door and arrested SIL. As he was handcuffing son-in-law, he noticed drug paraphernalia on the coffee table, a line of coke, pills and other substances. As he had probable cause, he radioed for backup and a K9 unit and obtained a search warrant. Soon there was 4 or 5 other patrol cars in the street and up the driveways. After searching the apartment, the LOLD, LOL and SIN was charged with possession of controlled substances and meth for sale, drug paraphernalia for usage and sale, child neglect as the child suffered from malnutrition, was dirty and allowed to crap and pee on the carpet because NBB was allowed to do her business anywhere. Son-in-law was also cited for spousal abuse and elderly abuse as he had been hitting on both. One of the deputies said the smell from the place was enough to gag a maggot. It was a long night, but the end result was well worth it. I never heard from them again. Landlord threw all their furniture beside the street as it was soiled also, which was picked up by the county and hauled off to the landfill. Landlord bagged their belongings, notified little old lady where they could be picked up, while charging them $5 per day storage until they were redeemed. I realized this is rather long, and thank you for letting me tell this, as I was reminded about the worst neighbor I've had while watching your videos on Neighbors from Hell. And thank you very much once again, Text Dr. Tom, for sharing this interesting story, but I would also like to once again encourage all of you to share your own stories on r/ripe stories on Reddit if you have an interesting story to share. If the story fits the current topics of the videos, then there is a good chance that I might read it in a video. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is an outrageous HOA story, and it is titled Discriminate Against a Disabled Woman and Her Service Animal, Prepare to Pay. Sandra Miller and Alex Miller are the plaintiffs in this action. Plaintiffs are homeowners and members of an HOA, aka Homeowners Association. 3 incidents occurred at the HOA clubhouse in which Sandra Miller attempted to enter with her chihuahua, which she claimed was a service animal. In each of these 3 incidents, Sandra was denied access to the clubhouse. The first incident occurred on March 11, 2009. Sandra entered the clubhouse with her dog, and the manager of the HOA asked her why she brought the dog into the clubhouse with her. Sandra explained that her dog assisted her with her disability and was a service animal, however she could not provide any documentation to the manager as to that effect. She was then asked to leave the clubhouse, to which she refused. Only after security was called did Sandra leave. Later on that same day, Sandra entered the clubhouse with her service dog without any incident. The HOA sent a letter to the plaintiffs after the first incident notifying them that Sandra had violated the HOA's governing documents and that a hearing before the HOA board would take place on March 30th, 2009. Plaintiffs never showed for this hearing, which ultimately resulted in the board finding that Sandra violated HOA rules and regulations by entering the clubhouse with her dog and not providing documentation. Sandra was assessed multiple fines. Prior to the hearing, the HOA sent out letters to the other residents letting them know that they would accommodate any legitimate service animals if their staff is properly advised of such. They also mailed out a letter regarding the incident with the plaintiffs to all of the other residents. The plaintiffs began to receive hate mail and verbal harassment regarding their dispute with the HOA board. The plaintiffs received many threats and had their property defaced by an anonymous homeowner who spray painted their garage door, telling them to get out of the neighborhood. And by the way guys, this HOA sounds more and more like a mafia rather than a homeowner association. Anyway, the HOA did nothing to stop this harassment. Plaintiffs filed a complaint with the Nevada Real Estate Division, and their claim was submitted to a non-binding arbitrator. Sandra provided a doctor's statement requesting that her dog be registered as a service dog, a notice of entitlement to disability benefits from the SSA, a doctor's statement regarding Sandra's disability, and a statement from Sandra explaining how her dog had been trained to assist her. The arbitrator found for the Ardient Homeowners Association because she did not find Sandra's explanation as to why she needed the dog as being persuasive. The arbitration decision was upheld by the 8th Judicial District Court of Clark County, Nevada, as well as by the Nevada Supreme Court. On July 26, 2010, plaintiffs entered the clubhouse again with the dog. They were told that they could not come in unless they provided more documentation, despite the documentation that Sandra had provided during the arbitration proceedings. On January 29, 2011, the plaintiffs entered the clubhouse again with the dog, and they were again denied entry until the plaintiffs could provide documentation that the dog was a registered service animal. The HOA eventually foreclosed on the plaintiff's home in order to recover the fines and attorney's fees that were owed. The plaintiffs then brought 102 causes of action in federal court under the ADA and FHA, which were pared down to 2 questions. Number 1, whether the HOA clubhouse was a place of public accommodation under the ADA and NRS law, and second, whether plaintiffs requested and were ultimately refused a reasonable accommodation under the FHA. For the plaintiff ADA claims, the district court found that Sandra is disabled as a matter of law and that the HOA and other defendants were aware of her disability, at least as of July 27, 2009, the date of arbitration. The court also found that the clubhouse was not a place of public accommodation and that the entire community, including the clubhouse, was a private establishment. As a result, the plaintiffs were not able to establish a claim for disability discrimination under the ADA. For the plaintiffs' FHA claims, the court found the following. Sandra was qualified as handicapped under the FHA, the defendants were reasonably expected to know about her handicap, an accommodation was necessary for Sandra to use the clubhouse, and the dog qualified as a service animal, and permitting the dog to accompany Sandra was a reasonable accommodation, and the defendants refused to make the requested accommodation, which makes them liable. For the Nevada law claim, it failed because the community and clubhouse are a private establishment and were not considered public accommodations. Plaintiffs were entitled to damages for their FHA claims only. The court ultimately found in favor of the plaintiffs and awarded $350,000 in compensatory damages, $285,000 in punitive damages and attorney fees, and costs of litigation. And I gotta say guys, this is the first time I've ever read, I would say it's the summary of a court case, and it was incredibly interesting. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about this article/story, and if you have watched until here, I would really appreciate it if you could like the video if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance, it really helps me out tremendously. And the next one is titled, Jerk Gambler Mocks My Grandma for Playing the Penny Machines, Walks Away with Nothing. And by the way guys, this story is from r/aholetext because we haven't had that subreddit in a while, and it starts like this. This happened around 15 years ago. I am only remembering it because my grandma brought it up in a laugh a while back. During a summer in the mid-2000s, my grandparents were traveling around to dig up rocks that they cut, polish and sell. In one of their favorite stops along the way, there was a small desert town with a casino. And my grandma really liked to play the penny machines there. She was more in it for the fun than the money. While she was playing the penny machines, a tall man in a cowboy hat that looked mid-30s or so came walking in, and then plopped himself down at the $5 machines. He was carrying thousands in cash, and he kept looking at my grandma and saying that only a real gambler plays the more expensive machines. Because the higher the bet, the higher the payout. Then he kept smugly talking aloud about how much money he was putting in the machines and how much money he was sure he was gonna make. Well, an hour or so goes by and the jerk has lost a ton of cash at the machine, I mean thousands of dollars, so he begrudgingly switched to the $1 machines. And sometime after that switched to the quarter machines, then the nickel machines, and alas, even the penny machines. He lost it all. And all the while my grandma was passively playing her penny machine. The jerk then openly said that the machines were rigged, then he stomped out while yelling that he would be back to get the money back he had lost. I don't know if he ever came back because my grandparents were out of that town by morning, but the funny thing was that my grandma, after playing the penny machines for a few hours, that day had actually walked out with about $30 more than she had won. And guys, I'm wondering, are any of my viewers big gamblers? Honestly, I really don't like all these slot machines and casino stuff. The only thing I kind of enjoy sometimes, at least last time I was in Las Vegas, is the roulette tables. Anything else really feels like a scam, and in the end the casino usually always wins. And the last one was posted by user Evil Katil, and it is titled Insane Entitled Mother Hit My Scholarship, and it was posted on r/ripe stories. So I am the unfortunate daughter of an insane entitled mother. Here's just one of very many of the crazy things my mother has done in an attempt to keep me under her thumb. which, by the way, shocker, has caused all of her children to move far away to escape from her insane antics. Please note that this story takes place in the 90s, so email was not common and cell phones were not common yet. To make things easier, IEM is insane entitled mother and OP is me. So when I was still in high school, all I wanted to be was an artist. I studied hard and took as many AP courses so that I could accomplish this goal. When it came to college, my dream school was out of state, and as a high-ranking school, getting accepted was quite difficult and it was very expensive. So I worked hard to increase my skills and build a portfolio that was diverse and polished, hoping to impress the school's acceptance committees. The week before the meetings with my dream school, I worked hard to get everything just perfect so that I would hopefully get in. This was my dream school and I didn't wanna fail. The night before the meeting with the school, IEM flipped out, said she didn't want me going and threw me out of their house. I ended up crashing at a friend's house and not sleeping at all before going to the meeting. The day of the meeting I had not slept at all. I was exhausted and lugging a portfolio that weighed a ton to the meeting while still trying to look like a student that they would want to join them. I managed to go to the portfolio review and sparkle the best that I could, and they loved me. They said on the spot that they wanted me, and I gave them all of the application paperwork so that they could get in touch with me afterwards. I was exhausted but absolutely excited. Then when I got home, IEM said that I could stay, so I thought everything was going to be okay for a while, and then I waited for the paperwork from the school to come. And waited and waited and waited. Nothing came in the mail. IEM told me at the time that this meant that I was rejected from that school and that now at the last minute that I will need to go a school of her choosing. She told me that I should stay in state as it would be more affordable. I ended up applying and being accepted to a smaller in-state art school that was in a very violent, dangerous area. She bribed the school to arrange for a good Christian roommate for me, who was actually very crazy and who did an unforgivable crime against me, so I had to find other living arrangements. I went to the school and very bad things happened to me there. I was miserable, and when Thanksgiving came around I went home for holiday. I indicated to my family that it wasn't going very well and that I was very unhappy. Then IEM dropped the bombshell in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. IEM: I found the full scholarship letter from the Dream Art School under the seat in my car the other day. OP: what? You told me they didn't want me. IEM: well, I decided that I didn't want you to be going far away, so I hid it. OP: but that was my dream school. I was crushed when you told me that I was rejected. IEM: well, I figured that you would just fail and lose the scholarship, so I decided you were not going to go because you would just fail. So instead you sent me to this hellish school? IEM: yes, you needed to stay in state to be close to me anyways. It was not a good holiday. The argument that ensued went on for a long time. It was only years later that she apologized in her own way. That wasn't an actual apology. I am no contact with my mother now after she has done so much more to try to control my life. And guys, I am wondering, have your parents ever been this controlling? Honestly, I am very happy that my parents are not like that at all, but I really feel for everyone who has had to go through something like this. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, I would suggest to check out my endless playlist, which you will now see linked on the screen, which will provide you thousands of hours of my awesome content. In addition, if you still cannot get enough, I would suggest to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where you will not only find exclusive Reddit content, and for $3 a month you will get early access to all my daily videos, and you will be included in the name list at the end of each video. However, please don't feel pressured into giving me money or anything. I am already incredibly grateful that you watch my videos daily. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.